Since the start of time, us humans have had something that surpasses all animals: imagination. It is powerfully forced with near no limit. It is the reason we gain ideas and create. The world probably wouldn't be how it is today without it. However, this video is about something different, about inspiration. Inspiration is something inspired for a new idea. In the world, near nothing is original. People are inspired all the time, but when there is a difference between inspiration and plagiarism. Plagiarism is the act of using a piece of other work reflecting such unauthorized use or imitation, basically stealing their idea bar for bar. And today I'm going to be talking about my thoughts on it. Inspiration is the act of having a new idea based on an already existing thing, whereas plagiarism is taking someone else's work, ideas, or words and presenting them as your own. There are several instances of inspiration and plagiarism in the world. Today, I am taking two uses of inspiration and two uses of plagiarism and comparing them to see what is the actual difference and why one is more healthy than the other. However, before that, I want to show the user of inspiration in my story and how it actually helped me to write a story. So in my story, called Izanagi, the first arc talks a lot of inspiration from the Hunter exams and the Chunin exams. But do I just pirate the idea? No, I take the concept and turn it into something of my own. That is what several people do. In my case, I decided to instead amplify it in ways. An example of this is Sekai, Kuro's father. Although he is only shown in flashbacks, it is revealed that Kuro's father left on an important journey. Sakai is seen as an important and respected figure, like Minato, or him leaving without saying anything to Kuro, or telling him the reason like Ging. For example, the character of Theros is clearly inspired by Illumi, but unlike him, he is more active during the arc. Although he is only seen restraining Shiro or doing a hook kick once he is clearly built up to be a menace, Theros as a plot point is similar, but there is even more added with the introduction of Rui, someone who trains under Theros and becomes a vocal part of the arc. Another character in this arc is Monsoon, inspired by Hisoka. Unlike Hisoka, he isn't even openly violent, not fighting once but being a menace as he lurks around with his intentions unclear, but still making you wonder what is his goal here, or if this is just a joke to him. The finally similarity I'm going to talk about is Shiro leaving. You can compare this to Sasuke versus Naruto. However, the locations, motivations, and emotional states are completely different. That is how my story was evolved by the use of inspirations. I used it to improve what I planned out, or as a base, which I can use to grow my own ideas. That is the point of inspiration. However, not all stories follow this mold. Take Jujutsu no Kaisen, for example, a fan-made alternative ending that went south. They were caught tracing other people's work, using AI, while not even innovating that much from the original story. That is the absence of creativity and just plagiarism, which obviously was badly received, but also shows that the creator didn't make it into its own. Also, it shows a person's lack of ideas and makes their work seem soulless. It removes character from it and leads to the project overall living in its shadow. But now, it's time to show what inspiration is in other media. Let's look at Jujutsu Kaisen. Here is a statement from Johnny Starr.
What really caught my attention during the reread of Jujutsu Kaisen was just how much of Bleach's DNA you can feel pulsing through the foundations of it. From the jump, we're introduced to a strange character on a mysterious mission with unclear implications. The story initially centers on establishing our protagonist. Where Bleach gives us Ichigo, the hot-headed badass with a heart of gold, JJK introduces Itadori Yuji, a carefree, goofy kid with an equally kind soul. Shortly after a quick supernatural exposition dump, our hero ends up facing off with a mysterious threat and in a desperate gamble takes a dangerous power into himself in order to survive. It's a real Bleach play-by-play, and I don't even mean that as a knock. It's not a ripoff, it's a spirited homage. The reason I bring it up in the first place is to express how successful tropes and writing structures don't need to be avoided just because they've been done before. They've worked in the past for a reason. The real challenge is making it your own, which JJK does. Where Ichigo gained the power to become a Soul Reaper, Yuji ends up possessed by an ancient malevolent spirit, Ryumen Sukuna, the king of curses. The chapter ends with that possession unresolved, leaving us on a high-stakes, tension-filled cliffhanger.
What he says is basically the fundamental of inspiration. Inspiration shaped JJK, however Gege changed and added things to the story to make it his own, like how he added Sukuna, or how the occult club actually led into the conflict of the first chapter. This gives JJK its own identity. It doesn't live in the shadow of Bleach. It's its own thing. Both stories have a similar base, but where one is the original, the other changes it and adapts it into something of its own. A new idea that can be linked back to its inspiration, but can stand alone without it. That is the difference between inspiration and plagiarism. Inspiration causes things to shine, while plagiarism causes your work to fall into darkness, only seen as something lesser than the original. An example of plagiarism that actually happened recently is Bungie's game, Marathon. It was revealed that a lot of the game had its art stolen from an artist that a lead art director followed on Twitter. They received backlash for the ethical concerns, and also it overshadows the actual game. In addition, the art style doesn't fit the game. Blue is a calming color which doesn't fit in with the type of game. Look at Ultra Kill, for example. It has a lot of red signaling danger and intensity. This shows another way plagiarism affects your work. It isn't made for what you're doing. You're basically gluing together things that don't work together because you didn't turn it into something that fits into what you were doing, in turn making your product worse. The final case of plagiarism I'm talking about is Nick Simmons stealing from Bleach. Yeah, the son of Gene Simmons. Kind of weird how he became a comic artist, but that's not the point of the video. He stole from Bleach, tracking over panels and copying characters bar for bar. This made most people see his work as inferior and worse. In addition, it is just worse than the original. Plagiarism is wrong and doesn't help you. You miss out on learning, growing, and building your voice. But when you're inspired, you create something with meaning, identity, and impact. And that's what being a great creator is all about.